Hi team, they do say you'll know where you're going to be in exactly 5 years' time by the people you're associating with now, positive people or negative people, and by the education that you're learning now. That's where you're going to be in 5 years' time. As you know, my name's John Haynes and I'm the Managing Director of the International Coaching Academy. We're all over the world, and I'm always fascinated in observing how some people can do more in a year than other people do in 5, 10 years. I believe this is because these people who are doing incredible things in a year, 6 months, 2 months, they're surrounding themselves by positive, like-minded people. They're going on courses, they're educating themselves all the time, they're developing themselves to the highest level. And it was Socrates who said, this is a time where people should reflect and analyse where they're going in their lives. He said that over 5,000 years ago. But Socrates and then Aristotle started to come up with the laws of the universe, the laws of the universe, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, the law of expectation, the law of belief, and so on. You see, university laws can never be broken, unlike man-made laws. Now, man-made laws, we've all experienced, we've all read in the papers, we've all seen the horror stories where somebody can rob somebody or even murder somebody and have a good grief and get off of it. But once you break a university laws, it comes back and hits you hard. Now, I believe people will know where they are in 5 years' time if they operate with the famous law which Aristotle came up with, the law of cause and effect. Let me explain. In the law of cause and effect, actually in the Bible, sowing and reaping, but in the law of cause and effect, every effect you're receiving, having, feeling in your life right now, you can trace it back to a specific cause, a specific decision. For instance, if you're happy with your life now, and your relationships are going well, and you're earning real good money, and you're excited about the future, and your health's good, listen, you could trace it back to the cause. The effects is you're happy, you're successful, you're earning money, your health's good. That's the effects. But when you trace it back to the cause, it could be a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 6 months ago. You can relate it possibly because you've been looking after your health, you've been keeping fit, you've been off the junk food. The reason you're earning more money is that you've been learning skills, you've been getting out of your comfort zone and studying, you've been improving your relationships, you're showing manners and courtesy, you're giving a love about, and the effects is years later, it's coming to you, it never fails. Sadly, if things are not going well in your life right now, like it used to be for John Haynes, that suddenly your relationships are turning sour, your job prospects are looking glum, you're continually worried about money, and by the way, they say the average person in the UK, the last thing they think about at night is debts, money problems. And as soon as they open their eyes in the morning, what they think about? You're right. Money, debts, possibly the law of cause and effect. The effects is they're worried about money. The effects is they're not too sure about the future. But then you can trace it back to a specific cause. And possibly you've gone into some bad habits without you knowing it. Possibly you've been watching too much television. You've got yourself into a comfort zone. Possibly you're not developing yourself enough and you haven't learned the skills how to improve your relationships. But that's the cause. The effects is years later, it will show. And this law of cause and effect works 100% of the time. It's like gravity. If I had a pen now and I dropped it, which way would it go? It wouldn't go up in the air sideways, it'd go right down. The law of cause and effect works 100% all of the time. So Aristotle had this right. So I want you now to study your own situation. And any effects in your life right now, trace it back to specific causes and say, let's eliminate those causes. But if you're happy and successful, carry on doing the causes. I believe all my life, I've always tried, after going through the dark night of the soul and being a total failure, and not earning the money to support my family, I got told about the law of cause and effect. And I got told and mentored, just John Haynes, do the same things that successful people do. Study the same way, work out the same way, learn the same skills as them, imitate them, have them as role models. And if you listen to them and just act in a habitual way of the way they act, years later you will have the same effects as them. The causes are, go the extra mile and follow them. So team, if you want to be successful in life and live up to your highest expectations and really look after your family and have a damn good living, first of all, what have I got to do that? What causes? Who can I learn from? Maybe I should go with that John Haynes and go to his International Coaching Academy, or anything at all, so I can have the effects years later. So this law of cause and effect, I can't emphasize enough that you should be following it. I myself have been highly successful after being a complete failure, a dropout, let me family down. I myself started studying the things other successful people do, and I've done quite well ever since. So the law of cause and effect. Let me tell you, before I finish, one last story, one last real life incident. I had a friend of mine, and he was a married man with 2 children, and things weren't too well in his relationship with his lovely wife Angie. And he used to come to the pub and have a little moan. Anyway, one weekend he goes away, he was passionate about football, and he goes away for 2 days to support his team. He comes back, and there it was, Angie and the 2 kids had left. He just had a note saying, it's over Jeff, it's finished, we've had enough, I'm leaving you. And what she'd also done, she'd been planning this for a couple of months. And she'd taken some of the furniture, she's emptied the bank account out, the whole lot. And Jeff was devastated. He was angry, he was frustrated. She went to the other end of the country. That was the end of it. The lawyers come in, a divorce, the whole lot. And he was angry. And every time he'd come into the pub, he'd tell us the same story. And we all sympathised, and we said, that Angie is a naughty girl, and poor old Jeff. And this went on for months and months. And after a time, it got a bit monotonous, and we started to get a bit bored with Jeff. And every time we come into the pub, we all ran out the other way. And it just went on, and all he had this anger and frustration in his heart, and always blaming Angie. And one night he caught me by myself, and I couldn't escape. And he said, John, another thing about that Angie. And he started to go on and on again. I said, Jeff, listen, I can't take it. You've told us about Angie now for the last 6 months. Will you give us a break? And then it came to me, the law of cause and effect. I said, but listen, Jeff, the effects is that Angie's left you with the 2 children, but what was the cause of all this? Why did she really leave you? And I was just trying to get him to be quiet for a while. And he said, the cause is, John, she done this, she done this, she done this. So as a coach, you always persist and say, but what was the real cause? And he said, the real cause, she's a bad woman, she done this. And then I persisted, and I said, well, come on, Jeff. What was the real cause? I said, what was the real cause? No less than 6 to 7 times. And in the end, he shocked me. And he sat down and said, well, John, it wasn't my fault, was it? I said, Jeff, but what was the cause? The effects is, she's left you, you're here, you've got no money, your manager's over. But what was the real cause? And suddenly, and this is what good mentoring and coaching is about, finding the real cause. Suddenly, his eyes started to dwell up, and I was a bit shocked. He said, well, John, what really happened? I didn't realise that she went to her mother's, and I didn't realise she'd come home early, and you know, it was in the afternoon. I said, what do you mean come home early? He said, I had another girl in the house, and she caught me, John. I said, Jeff, I can't believe it. And then I said, is there any other causes that's triggered off this effect? And he said, well, you know what I'm like, John. Remember that time we should have gone on holiday? You know, I like a little gamble now and again. And I had to cancel it we were going to Miami and I cancelled at the last minute. I said, yeah, that was 2 years ago. He said, what has happened, John? You know I like me gambling. And I went and blew all the holiday money on a horse, on a donkey, and it went down. So I was shocked. And then straight away I started to feel guilty and sorry for Angie. And I said, is there any other causes, Jeff, that triggered off this effect? And then he hit me with it. He said, well, possibly a month before she left. You know what I'm like, John. And we men, you know what I'm like. And I had too much to drink, and I stayed out the night with this girl, and when I come home the next, she's seen the lipstick and and I said, hold on a minute then, Jeff, what you're telling me, the causes that you've committed adultery, you've been with 2 different women, you're a bit of a gambler, and Jeff, is there any last cause? And he said, well, John, you know I'm passionate about my football, so I'm always away all day Saturday with the boys, and I love my golf, and on Sundays we play golf and we finish about 1 o'clock and we go in the clubhouse, so I don't get home till 5 o'clock. So I said, every weekend or you're always away, you never see the kids. And then the tears come down his eyes. I said, Jeff, no wonder she's left you. They're the causes, the way you've been treated. The effects are now, you've now a sad and lonely man. You deserve what you've got. And you've made us feel Angie was the bad person. I feel bad. Immediately I got on the phone to Angie and apologised with my behaviour towards her. And I got back to Jeff and said, Jeff, the law of cause and effect works 100% all the time. If you want to get Angie back, what causes are you going to operate now? And I've got to say this, team, it took him, I've got to say this, nearly a year of being polite, phoning her up, asking her for forgiveness, getting out of his bad habits, but I'm delighted to say he's now back with his 2 children and Angie. They've moved house, they've moved neighbourhoods, but at least they've got a new beginning. So what I'm saying to you, the reason I told you that story is, please analyse your own life right now. Analyse your career, analyse your business, your financial situation, the law of cause and effect. Any effects you want in your life, you want to have a better beginning, a new start, you want to be happier, look for the causes, then start operating them. I believe Socrates got it right and Aristotle brought to the world the law of cause and effect. So, in finishing, you'll know where you'll be in 5 years' time by the people you associate with now and their education by utilising the law of cause and effect. I'm John Haynes. If you need to contact me, email success@john-haynes.co.uk.